Today I have a brand new 200 watt bicolor LED light from ZHIYUN, the Molus B200. Before we get started, I do want to say that ZHIYUN did send me this light for free, but no money changed hands and I'm in no way obligated to give them a positive review. As always, with videos like this, I'll do my absolute best to give you guys my honest opinions. If you haven't already noticed, ZHIYUN's been on a roll lately with a string of really popular portable lights. Things like the X100, the G60, the X60, the M20, just to name a few. So I was super excited to find out that they were getting into the more traditional form factor lights. When you first get the light, you'll notice that not much comes in the box. You'll get the light itself, a reflector, and a power cable. There is no case included with this light, so you'll have to use the product packaging for transportation. The first thing that I noticed when I pulled this light out of the box was how cool and unique it looked. It definitely doesn't follow the standard cookie cutter design like Aperture or Amaran. It has a futuristic look with really interesting lines. It looks like it could come out of like an alien movie, Predator or Blade Runner, something like that. There are 3 fans, one on each side and one on the back. It has this really cool heat sink that's kind of peeking through the vents that gives it kind of a steampunk kind of vibe. There's a screen on the back for seeing your settings, and there are adjustment knobs, one on each side. There's a USB-C port here, and I was told that this is for a wired remote control and for firmware updates. There's a power switch on the bottom, and that allows you to flip the light on instantly, really quickly. It has a full-size Bowens mount, which is really nice because sometimes with compact lights like this, sometimes they use proprietary mounts, which I hate. It's really nice that this has a full-size Bowens mount. Coming over to this side of the unit, you have an umbrella mount, and this is where you put your baby pin spigot adapter for light stands. On this side, you have your single-sided adjustment or tightening knob here, and it is ratcheting, which is very nice. And for power, you have a standard IEC jack. Also, notice that the body is mostly made of plastic. It's this really cool smoke gray translucent color. And obviously, it's not going to be as durable as a full metal construction, but it does cut down on weight. And this thing is pretty light, coming in at just around 3 pounds. Hats off to the ZHIYUN industrial design team because you guys are pumping out some really cool and unique looking products, which I think is driving a lot of interest into your lights. All right, let's quickly go over some of the specs for this light. Like I said earlier, this is a dual color COB LED light. It has a color temperature range from 2700 Kelvin to 6500 Kelvin. ZHIYUN claims that this light has a CRI rating of 95 plus, and it has all of the lighting effects that you would expect from a light in this price point. Powering this light is super easy. There are no control boxes or external power supplies. All you need is the included standard IEC cable, and that plugs in right here. The nice thing about that is if you boom the light up really high, and if the cable that comes with the light is not long enough, all you need is a standard extension cord to power up the light. And for those who are wondering how long the cable is that comes with the light, I'll put that information on the screen right now. Also, one thing to note is that this light was not designed to work with any batteries, V-mount or L-mount, anything like that. All it takes is an IEC AC mains connection. Controlling the light is super simple. On the unit itself, there are 2 knobs. One controls brightness and the other controls color temperature, and you have an LCD screen on the back for seeing what you're doing. One cool feature that they carried over from some of their previous lights is the ability to scroll through presets by pushing in the knobs. So the brightness knob and the temperature knob both are clickable and allow you to scroll through predetermined presets. I find that to be super useful because it takes a really long time to scroll from one extreme to another using the knobs. ZHIYUN will also have a USB-C controller that plugs in right here, which will allow you to control the light remotely. Unfortunately, they did not have the remote ready for me to try at the time of making this video, so I cannot show you that, but I hope that it's ready by the time that this video is released. The third and final way to control the light is using ZHIYUN's mobile app. The mobile app is pretty basic and pretty bare bones, but you do get all of the core functionality that you would need to operate the light. I did find it weird that the app doesn't allow you to control the lighting effects, but I'm hoping that that's just a simple app update in the future. The quality of light produced by the B200 is great. Unfortunately, I don't have a spectrometer to show you hard numbers, but in my practical tests, I found the light to be very powerful, definitely on par with the other lights that I have that are similarly powered. I didn't need to do a lot of tweaking of my white balance, which makes me feel comfortable saying that the light is very color accurate and didn't shift a lot to either magenta or green. Here are a few example shots of me using the light in different scenarios. First is a talking head shot in midday, and the second is my typical studio lighting setup. You'll probably notice that a lot of similarly powered lights are much bigger and bulkier than this one, and a lot of that has to do with cooling. Typically, lights need big heat sinks and big fans to dissipate all that heat, so that way the COB and the internal power supplies don't overheat. What ZHIYUN did was they implemented the 5th generation of their trademark Dynavort technology, which allows this light to be much, much smaller than the competition. Now, I don't have all of the technical specifications on how the Dynavort system works, but we can take a pretty good guess by looking at the design. So there are 3 fans, one on each side and one on the back. All 3 of those fans are drawing in cool air from the outside world, and they're blowing it onto the heat sinks that are inside the light. That warm air then is forced out of the lighting unit through the top and bottom vents. And what I've read on the Dynavort system is that they control the fans in such a way that they minimize the amount of stagnant air that is floating around the heatsink, which is good for efficiency and cooling. Now, the Dynavort system may have allowed ZHIYUN to make this light much smaller, but that didn't come for free. Now, the price you pay for having the smaller light is that when these fans start going, this thing gets pretty loud. All right, so what are the things that I like and dislike about this light? Starting off with the things that I like. First of all, I have to give ZHIYUN credit for having the courage to step into such a crowded and saturated market of other lights. I mean, they're coming in here and competing against Aperture, Amaran, Godox, Nanlite, all of those other companies, but they were still able to create something unique enough that it stands out amongst the crowd, which is really hard to do. On top of all of that, the light is small, lightweight, powerful, and has a really high quality light output. In addition to those things, I love that they included a standard Bowens mount. The UI is very easy and intuitive to use, which is really, really nice. And I like that they included an umbrella mount. So there's a lot of positive there, but now let's get into some of the negatives because there are some pretty big ones. My first and biggest complaint is with this Bowens mount. Now, I don't know if I just got a defective unit, but my Bowens mount didn't always lock. It would look like it was locked because the latch would spring back forward and you would hear it and see it, but you could still take the modifier and just take it off without having to unlock it. Now, to me, that's a huge concern because that's a potential safety hazard right there. I mean, you can imagine if this thing's boomed up and all of a sudden your snoot or your softbox, whatever, comes crashing down and falls on someone's head, not a good thing. So I'm hoping that that is just a problem with my unit, but I did want to tell you guys because that is a potential safety concern. The next thing that I really have to ding ZHIYUN for here is the fan noise. Now, I know that they were going for something very small and compact, and they were trying to hit a certain price point. So we ended up with smaller fans and a plastic housing. Now that's cool for the form factor, but there's a reason why a lot of lights in this power range are bigger and metal. It's because that metal on the body can be used to help dissipate more heat. You can use larger diameter fans, which when you compare it to a smaller fan can push more air at the same RPM. So another way to say that is because these fans are so small, to push the same amount of air as a large diameter fan, they have to spin a lot faster, which you can hear. All right, so the last thing that I want to bring up is something that I don't really understand, but just bear with me as I talk through it. So it looks like ZHIYUN put a lot of time and effort into making this light small, lightweight, and portable. But at the same time, they didn't give us an option to run it off of batteries, and they didn't include a case, which are kind of the two things that would really help make this actually portable. Because when I see a light that does not have an option to power it from batteries, in my mind, I kind of relegate it automatically to being a stay in the studio type of light. So then why make it small, lightweight, and plastic if it's just going to live in the studio? I'd rather have this thing be a humongous tank of a light that dissipates heat really well and was ultra quiet than have a really small portable light that I'm not going to take anywhere because it doesn't have a case and I can't use batteries with it. Now, I actually did reach out to ZHIYUN and just ask them, hey, why did you guys not decide to design this thing with batteries in mind? And the response from the person I was talking to said, well, it would make this too heavy and not very portable. I'm still trying to figure that one out because I don't actually understand that, because in my head, the ability to use it with batteries makes it portable. And I think that they understand that too. Let's be real here for a second. I think we all know that it probably comes down to cost, right? It costs a lot more to design this thing to be able to take batteries and to include a case, which would be a totally reasonable answer if that's what they said. I would have been like, okay. But their response to me was kind of doubling down on the portableness of this light, which doesn't make sense to me. All right, so what are my final thoughts? Well, when I first saw this light, I was super excited. I mean, look at it. It's a 200-watt light in a really tiny, cute little package. And I had known what ZHIYUN has been up to lately with their other portable lights, and they've been killing it. So why not be excited for something like this? Unfortunately, once I started testing it, some of the weaknesses were revealed. You know, the fan noise, while that can be removed in post pretty easily, why go through that hassle when there are other lights on the market that don't have that issue? It's just not worth it. And two, the biggest thing is the Bowens mount issue. I can't have any safety hazards around. You know, it's just a liability. You know, the last thing you want is for your modifier, whatever it may be, to fall off and hit your client in the head or hit the talent in the head, whatever. It's just not a good thing. And like I said, I really truly hope that it's just a problem with my unit and that ZHIYUN doesn't have a design problem that affects many units. But I don't have other units to test, so I have to go with what I know, and that's only this one unit, and this one is not good. So again, as much as I hate to say it because I like ZHIYUN products, I like them as a company, I cannot recommend this light due to mainly the safety issues, because I know some of you may be okay with the fan noise stuff. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I'm sorry that this video doesn't have a happy ending, but that's just the way it goes with this type of stuff. You can't win them all. My biggest hope is that ZHIYUN sees this and takes the feedback well and uses it to make their products even better in the future. If this is your first time here, my name is Matt and I make videos about photography, video, I do product reviews, all of that good stuff. So if you don't want to miss out on any future content, please consider liking and subscribing because it helps me out a lot. Again, my name is Matt and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.